Okay, welcome everyone for the talk. As Sherry says, the title of the talk is When the Mind Fasts, the Spirit Feasts. Let's see what this means. First of all, before I begin, I want to just clarify that this is just a 2-hour talk on a subject which is quite vast. And if I do not answer some of your questions, or I'm not able to answer your questions in a 2-hour period, kindly forgive. And the way in which I share the teachings is through dialogue. So we'll be having a little discussion together. I'll be asking lots of questions, and the more you can participate in the answers, the more you will understand the teachings. Yeah? Okay. So I'll start with this question. Suppose I have a $1,000 note. I don't know if you have $1,000 notes in Australia. Let's say it's US. Okay, nice crisp $1,000 note, and I wish to give it to you without any strings attached. Would you take it? No strings attached, no ulterior motives. Would you take it? Yeah? Sherry? And why would you take it? Why not? Good answer. Hey, it's okay. Most of you would take it, if not all. You wouldn't. Oh, okay. Suspicious. Skeptic. Right. Suppose this $1,000 note, instead of it being nice and crisp and new, it is soiled, it is crumpled, a little bit torn and tatty. Would you still take it? Yeah? Well, it looks a little disgusting actually. Would you still take it? Yes. Why would you still take it? The value has not changed? It's not changed, even though it's soiled. Hey honey, that's pretty good. Okay. It's the same with life, you see. Our lives have a certain value. And even though we might have difficulties, we might have traumas, and we've made mistakes, we've been hurt, we've hurt others, the value of our life does not change, does it? Not really. And yet, have you noticed the tendency when faced with difficulties, when life's experiences are a little crumpled, not so crisp and beautiful, have you noticed how we tend to devalue ourselves? Yeah? The criticism, the judgment, the harshness. Do you think that's the right way to go about things? Not quite. Okay. Okay, another question. What is the actual value of $1,000? What's the actual value of $1,000? Deborah?
Well, I guess it depends if you're going to take it to start with. It depends what you're going to use it for.
Okay, and it depends on what you're going to use it for. So what does that mean?
You're going to use it for good, or you're going to use it for something selfish.
Whether you use it for something good or something selfish, that's what determines the value?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other answers? What is the actual worth of $1,000?
Well, it's totally subjective. It depends on what you decide to spend it on. If you decide to spend it on anything at all, you might even just like the idea of holding $1,000 and not buying anything. Or you might want to hop on a flight and go somewhere exotic. And that seems to me personally, from my subjective point of view, of great value to go fly somewhere and have an experience with $1,000. Versus to someone else, they might go out and have a gourmet meal that costs like $1,000, but to me, I wouldn't value that quite as much. So
Okay,
totally
it's
depends.
very subjective, right. The actual value of $1,000, as you've rightly said, depends on how we use it. If we invest it in a certain way, we could make maybe $100,000 if we know how to invest it correctly. The $1,000 is not just $1,000. It depends on how we utilize it. Right? Same with our life and experiences. The value of your life is only the value you place upon it. The value of our experiences is only determined by what you bring into the experience, not so much as what you get out of it. What do you bring into the experience? What you bring into it will really determine how much value you will get out of it. Are you understanding, please? Yeah? So when life throws a curveball, when life does not meet our expectations, and we get upset in the process, are we really making the most of that crumpled note? Does the value of the experience change just because it is not pleasant or it does not match your expectation? Are you understanding here? Yeah? The value of each moment is priceless. And it's up to you to determine what you bring into the experience so that you get something more out of it. For example, suppose you are on your way to the airport for an important meeting, and you have to catch this flight for this meeting coming up tomorrow, and it's a long flight from, let's say, Sydney to Perth. You arrive at the airport and you discover that the flight is delayed by 2 hours. What happens to you then? A little stressed? Okay. A little agitated. Wonderful. And then, to add to your agitation, the ticket agent announces a little while later that, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, the flight is no longer delayed, it is actually cancelled. So please come up to the counter and we can look for alternate arrangements for you. Now, how do you feel? Flight is cancelled, important meeting. And this was the direct flight. Sherry, they are here. Right here. Right here. Okay, I'll just repeat a little bit for our friends. Suppose you're on your way to the airport to catch a flight for an important meeting in another city. And when you get to the airport, you find out that the flight is delayed by 2 hours. How would you feel? Good?
Frustrated.
Immediate, right. Okay, beautiful. And then you hear the flight attendant, the ticket agent actually, announce that the flight is no longer delayed, it is now cancelled. How would you feel? Even more frustrated. Beautiful. Right, so you're frustrated, you're in line now waiting for alternate arrangements, and you see this guy in front of you who is getting more and more agitated. And when his turn comes to talk to the ticket agent, he gets into a rage. And he accuses her of all kinds of things which are really not relevant. And then he storms off. Now, this person who was in a rage, who was really angry and upset at the ticket agent, what was he really angry about? What was he angry about?
Not having control over the situation.
Absolutely. Not having control over the situation. Not that the flight is delayed, not that, or it's cancelled. He was angry about the fact that he was not in touch with his finer qualities to handle the situation effectively. That's what he was really angry about. But did he realize that? Not really. It's so much easier to blame somebody else or to blame a situation for what we feel or how we feel. It takes maturity to accept responsibility for our own feelings, however. And what happens when we take responsibility for our feelings? We are then in power. We are in touch with our power to determine the outcome. When we don't take responsibility for our feelings, we are not in touch with our power. We give away our power to the person or the situation in front of us which appears to be upsetting. Not a wise way to live. So, when faced with difficulties, or even before facing difficulties, what is a good way to go about living our lives?
Accepting when something bad happens and trying to make the most of it.
Okay, accepting. Do you recall a time in your life when you wanted something and somehow you were not able to get it, only later on did you realize that that was quite okay? Do you realize? You wanted to go in this direction, life took you in this direction, and upon reflection you found that this was actually a better choice. Have you noticed that sometimes in your life? Okay. Yes? Right. So, it is good to learn the art of being in rapport with life, in trusting its wisdom. Okay? To go through life trusting in its wisdom to guide us to be where we want to be. Even if your meeting is cancelled, by trusting in life, something beautiful can open for us. But by not trusting in life, we send out vibrations that create a complication of the situation even further. Please understand that the frequency on which we transmit ourselves, broadcast ourselves, the frequency on which we transmit ourselves is the same as the frequency on which we translate ourselves. And if our translation of ourselves is faulty or limited, we have a difficult time in life. What does it mean to translate ourselves? Self-translation. The frequency on which we transmit ourselves is the same as the frequency on which we translate ourselves. What does it mean to translate yourself? Again? No clue. All right.
From what you're saying, it sounds like you're saying what you're bringing in, the experiences you're bringing in.
Yes.
Like how you perceive the world around you? How
It is determined by our self-image, how we translate ourselves, how much in power are you of the situation. Do you translate yourself as a happy, healthy human being, or do you translate yourself as a victim of life? What is your translation of yourself? It will determine how you will behave in the world. And then, the way we behave in the world, the way we transmit ourselves, then determines how the world in turn will respond to us. When we keep transmitting irritation, anger, judgment, and so on, what kind of reality are we fashioning for ourselves? A happy one? Have you heard it said that the future is in us long before it arrives? Have you heard that saying? The future is in us long before it arrives. What do you think about it? Is it true? No?
But fate.
Pardon me?
What do you mean fate?
It means your destiny. Just as every little seed in plants, for instance, has already got, Sherry, somebody else, hey, please chill out. There we go. Yeah. Doesn't every seed in nature have already the blueprint of what it is going to be? Yeah? An orange seed already has a blueprint of it becoming an orange plant. It will not turn into a mango tree. It will turn into an orange plant. So the actions that we generate in the moment are creating our destiny. You go to college and you don't study and you party most of the time. What kind of future are you going to attract yourself? Will you really graduate, or will you probably drop out? The future is in us long before it arrives. Our present actions are tomorrow's experiences. If we behave incorrectly today, we cannot really expect to harvest a happier tomorrow. It's not possible. Does it make sense, please? Yeah? So the difficulties we experience in life are not localized events that are just happening now. The difficulties we experience in life are not localized events. These difficulties really are a process of neglect that leads up to these crystallized moments. Do you know what that means? I'll say it in simple terms. If I'm having a problem with my parent or my child or my partner or my colleague, whoever, if I'm having a difficulty with someone and I look at that difficulty, I will see that this difficulty is not something which arose in the recent present. This is a difficulty that I've been having some time before also. And where is actually the difficulty? If I'm having a difficulty with you, if I'm having a difficulty with my colleagues or with anyone, where is the source of that difficulty? Which means it's a process of neglect that leads up to these crystallized moments. It's a process of self-neglect, not being in touch with our finer qualities. When I'm not in touch with my finer qualities, it's quite possible, actually it's quite inevitable, that I will be rubbing people up the wrong way. I will have lack of communication skills, relationship skills, and these difficulties just sprout here, there, and everywhere, like mushrooms in the forest. Yeah? So the difficulties in our lives are not localized events happening here, there, there. The difficulties in our lives are really a process of self-neglect that we carry with us. And the sooner we address this self-neglect, the easier it is to flow through life with power and grace. Does it make sense, please? Little. When I was in my teens, actually for 12 years I lived in Africa, in Lagos, Nigeria. And we used to be members of the club, and I used to play all kinds of sports there. And I grew up with this guy who was my same age as me, and we loved all kinds of sports, tennis and table tennis, squash, everything. However, when he turned 16, he decided to perfect his game, and he got himself a coach. Once he got himself a coach, there was no way I could beat him in any of the games, not a chance. So when he made that choice to get himself a coach, his future was already assured of being good in the game. Are you understanding? When I made the choice not to have a coach, my future was also determined by the choices I made, by the value I had. My friend valued the game and he wanted to perfect it, and his value brought him to greater mastery. He stopped playing with me after a while because there was no challenge for him. Yeah? Our future is in us long before it arrives. So this future also, please understand, is determined by the values we have. So does it make sense to learn to value things correctly so that our future is brighter and happier? Does it make sense to value things correctly? Yeah. Okay. And what is the thing we need to value the most? Ourselves. Yes. In other words,
Our lives.
pardon me?
Our lives.
Our lives. Yes. In other words, something else? What is it that we really need to value the most if we want to have a great time in life? You're right. Our lives, ourselves.
A spiritual connection?
Absolutely. We need to connect with our strengths. We need to enhance our personal value so that we are endearing, not just to ourselves, but to everybody else. Yeah? We need to be endearing not just to ourselves, but to everybody else also. And why do we need to be endearing to other people? Is it important to be endearing to other people?
Yes.
Why?
You get what you give.
You get what you give? Is that what you said? Okay, beautiful. In a family situation, when the members of the family are not really together, not really flowing together, not really respecting one another, and not able to influence positive change in those relationships, is it pleasant to be in that family? No. And when that family is not really healthy, is it because people are endearing to one another? Or is it because people are not endearing to one another? They're not endearing. There's no respect for one another. So, in order to be endearing just for ourselves, it's not enough. We have to also be endearing to others, because when we establish a right rapport with people, people are willing to listen. People are willing to change for the better. We can influence positive change in other people's lives when we have the right relationship skills, when we are endearing. Here we are. Welcome. Anna, come a little forward. Or there's space there. You guys are okay? Welcome. One.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you mind if the fans are
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
noisy,
Yep.
just to speak up a little bit?
Or
Sometimes I can't quite.
Can we turn it off?
It is quite hot though, so I think people probably need it.
or maybe put it in further back. Just Anna, just a little further back. Thanks.
Thanks.
One thing I like about Australia is that you guys keep Indian time also. If you are in a relationship with someone you really care about, wouldn't you like to have the resources to influence a positive change in that person if that person is involved in harmful behavior? Wouldn't you like to have that power to determine positive change in the people's lives that you really care about? Yes. So what really matters the most is to learn how to be in touch with what is finest in us. Because not only do we create a happier life for ourselves, but we are in the position to influence others also to work towards greater happiness. It's important. Miki-san, why don't you come to say? Yeah, cushion. Perfect. Thanks. Whatever we notice or give attention to in life, whatever we notice or give attention to in life is determined by our values. In essence, we create ourselves from what we choose to notice or give attention to, and we then inhabit the world we create. Once again, a little bit about my life. When I was in my teens, at times we would go to the club for these tambola nights, bingo nights. And while everyone else was enjoying the bingo game, I used to be fascinated with the little proverbs that were on those booklets. That was the reason I would go to the game. And after the games were over, I would collect all those booklets from all the different tables, take them home, and write down all these beautiful proverbs in my notebook. Because for me, I noticed something which was important to me, and it shaped my life and values. Yeah? Whereas those people were there only for the money or just a little fun. Whatever we notice or give attention to is determined by our values. If our values are not really supportive of a happy life, of a beautiful life, then we need to have the power of observation to know how to let go of them and when to let go of them. But many of us don't have that clarity of observation. Why do we not have that clarity of observation? Why do we cling to values that don't really support our long-term interests? Why do we cling to values that are constantly sabotaging our welfare and our relationships, especially with people we love the most? Why are we in such friction with people we love the most? Come on, you guys. What do you really value? Why can we not observe how we are creating our reality by the values we choose to cling to, or the values we choose to cultivate? Why are we not observant of the fact of what we are doing with our lives and circumstances?
We're so busy, there's so much going on.
We're
It's
so
hard to filter everything that's going on and pinpoint exactly what's making you feel good, what's making you feel not so good.
we are so busy to pinpoint what is really making us feel good and what's not making us feel good. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
All right.
so I think we're too busy.
And so we are busy with what, Madam Joy?
Well, just life, what we're expected to do in this society, what we just, yeah, everything. Life.
Beautiful. If you stopped 1,000 people on the street, or you did a research with 1,000 people from all walks of life, what would you say, and you asked them what they really wanted in life, what would be the answers you would get?
More time.
Pardon me?
More time.
More time. Okay, here. What would you really like in life, dear? More time and more?
Money.
Money. Hey, don't forget that one. And what else? Pardon me?
Happiness.
Happiness. Absolutely. Mustn't forget that. And a gorgeous, yummy partner. Yum, yum. And what else?
Love.
Pardon me?
Love.
Love. Ah, yes. Amazing. Something else, Tamara?
Energy.
Energy. Yeah. From the bottle or no? Yes. What would people? Happiness. People want to be happy, don't they? They're so desperate. Pardon me?
Comfort.
Comfort. Beautiful. They want happiness, they want comfort, and they're so busy getting happiness and comfort. Are they? No. What are they busy about?
They're busy getting money so they can get happy.
Ah, they can buy it. Yes. Okay. How did we forget that one? Busy making money so we can be happy. Beautiful. All right. Come along. Nicole, what would you say?
Happiness was on the top of my list. So.
Happiness on the top of the list? Honey, you have to do more retreats.
What about approval?
Approval is what people really want.
What people spend their time on.
Oh my God, yes, approval. Yes, yes. And Bani.
Okay, to be honest, I think
Pardon me?
everything's been said.
Everything's been said. Okay, so these are those guys out there. What would you want?
Peace.
Peace. Yes. Right? Pardon me?
Wisdom. Wisdom.
Ah, so, Miki-san. Wisdom. Without wisdom, how will you be peaceful? How can you be happy? How can you nurture healthy relationships? How is it possible without the skill to create all the beautiful things we desire? How is it possible? Maybe 1 in 1,000 will say, I want to be wise. And that will be the person who will really be happy. Does it make sense, please? We want beautiful things, but if we are not planting the seeds for that beautiful thing to arise, how will we get that harvest? How can we expect to be planting oranges and want to harvest mangoes? It's not possible. How can we constantly be busy with non-essentials, flood ourselves with non-essentials, and expect to have an enriching life? Is it possible? We're not flowing in harmony with life, please. To flow in harmony with life, we have to abide by its principles. There are certain laws and principles. If we don't know them, we cannot achieve what we really intend to achieve in life. It's not possible. So that's where fasting the mind comes in. But we'll come to that after the tea break. Have you got the point here? Yeah? Whatever we choose to notice or give attention to is determined by our values. If our values are not really in place, then no matter how hard we try to be happy, we cannot get there. It is absolutely impossible. You cannot get mangoes out of orange seeds, not possible. And you cannot acquire happiness on a foundation of self-neglect. It is not possible. It is only when we learn to nurture what is finest in us, only when we are in touch with our finer qualities, when we enhance our personal qualities, that's when happiness is there by default. Whether you want it or not, it will be there. But in the absence of this, in the absence of loving oneself, no matter how much anybody else loves you, it will make not a bit of difference. Not a bit of difference. Yeah? Okay. Just think now. Suppose you have a business, an important business, and you want to hire a personal assistant to help you in that business. Someone who's going to have a very responsible role. And you are interviewing all these people. What would you look for in the person to hire that person? Expertise in the field that you want your business is in? Would that be important? And what else would be important?
That their values are in line with yours.
That their values are in line with yours means what exactly?
That they're on your frequency.
Chew it for me, honey. Chew it. What else?
Communication skills.
Pardon me?
Communication skills.
Do they have good communication skills? Right? They can be a brilliant, very eloquent in communication, but still there is something else you have to check before you will hire them.
That they're honest.
That they are honest and kind. Pardon me?
Trustworthy.
Trustworthy. Aren't these incredibly important qualities for hiring someone? Would you hire someone who was eloquent, brilliant, but shady? That when your back is turned, that person has taken your money and gone to Hawaii. Would you? Yeah? Would you hire such a person?
Depends what business you're in.
Thank you, Brendan. Right. So, if you had to choose between their integrity and their expertise, what would you choose? Integrity always wins, hands down. Because integrity is not something you can teach. You can teach them to learn the business, but you can't teach them to be honest. If they've chosen to be dishonest, you cannot teach them that. Is that right? Yeah. Isn't that the same when it comes to choosing a life partner? What would you want to see in your life partner? Some brilliance? Some Einstein who's a thief? Yes? You'd want an Einstein who's a thief?
No.
Okay, so I'm glad we're in tune. Right. When selecting a life partner, don't you also look for those qualities, those personal qualities, the tenderness, the kindness, the openness, the ability to really listen and understand? Aren't those important qualities that you select in a partner? Absolutely. More than their intelligence, more than their riches. It's the person that we want to connect with. So, in all the busyness that our friend here was talking about, in all our busyness, how much time do you invest in developing those finer qualities that make you endearing to yourself and to others, so that people will open their doors for you and want you to be successful instead of closing the doors on your face? How many of you are busy being super endearing? And how many of you are living in neglect of that aspect of yourself? Don't give me the answers, I don't want to know. So for those of us who believe, those people who believe that they are really unfortunate in their relationships, unfortunate in their work, unfortunate in life, those people who believe that, they're not able to see, because of that busyness, because of the focus on non-essentials, they're not able to see the incredible opportunities in front of them to grow and to flourish into being the best they can be. They're not able to really appreciate the faculties they are born with that are worth more than gold and diamonds. Would you trade your eyeball for some little bit of gold? No. Why not? Come on, I'll give you. What's your price? Faculties worth more than gold and diamonds, and what do we do with them? Especially the faculty to think, the faculty to imagine, to reason, to move forward in life. We have it in us. We have the power to choose. No one has taken that power away from us. We have that faculty to choose. What are we doing with those choices? What values are we really gravitating towards, and what values do we need to move away from? Do we have the space in our lives to really determine if our values really add sparkle to our lives, or do they drain our zest for living? What values are you hanging on to? What values do you need to inculcate? Are you understanding? So we're not unfortunate. We're all born with the same capital, $1,000, let's say. Same capital. Eyes, nose, ears, everything. Same capital. What are you doing with this capital of your precious human birth? That determines how happy you become or unhappy you become. Depends on how well you invest in your moments, how well you invest in this capital you're born with. The $1,000 is not just $1,000, it can become $2 million or more. Depends on how you invest it. Same with your life. It doesn't have to be ordinary, it doesn't have to be commonplace. It can be spectacular. But it depends on how much you value learning, how much you value personal growth and learning, so that you can be the best that you can be. But in the absence of that self-investment, life is a bit of a pain in the rare end. Now, before we go on to the next point, let's have a little tea break. How many of you have fasted on just water for about 7 days? 7 days water fast? Hey, you guys, come along.
Are we being honest?
Sherry's done it.
Yes, Sherry's done it. 14 days. I've done 2 7 days. And do you know what happens when you go on just a water fast?
You get hungry.
Look at that. Pure logic. What else happens, Carrie?
You lose weight.
Yeah, I could do with another fast, yes. You lose weight, you get hungry.
Did you focus more maybe?
Possibly, yes. The digestive system takes a lot of energy. Yeah, when you eat your food, it takes a lot of energy to digest food and to assimilate it and so on. And because we eat so much and so often, the body never really gets a chance to cleanse itself, to clean itself. When you do a fast, the digestive system shuts down and the body gets a chance for spring cleaning. And when the first 3 days are very uncomfortable, but after that you accept the fact that you're not going to eat, the body shuts down, the stomach shuts down, and then you'll start to see and also smell. Your gums are coated, your tongue is coated, there's just dirt coming out of every pore of your body. And you start smelling like your neighbor's buffalo. Well, over here, maybe your neighbor's kangaroo. Okay? Doggy, yeah, possibly. Yeah? Oh, the smells that come out of you, the toxins that come out of you, and the things that come out from the rear end. Whoa, where did that come from? Okay? Alligators and all kinds of things, bottle tops. All the crap that we've been eating. Yeah? Lots of purging happens when you go on a fast. It's very uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's extremely beautiful because your senses get heightened when you finish the fast. You can see better, you can hear better, you can taste better, you can feel better. Everything gets heightened after the fast. But for those 7 days, after 3 days actually you're okay. But you're not hungry anymore. But the toxins keep coming out. 7 days is short. The longer would be 14 days, and even longer 21 days. But your immunity gets boosted. When the body is cleaning itself, the immunity just becomes sensational to heal illnesses. Many people fast also to heal illnesses. People also fast because when you're in that tranquil state, you're also in touch with your intuition. You get ideas, you get brainwaves. Amazing things start to happen for you because your mind also gets sharpened in the process. So, people fast for many reasons. Some for cleaning out the toxins, some for health, some for whatever, spiritual, whatever. Even Jesus fasted. 40 days and 40 nights, possibly. Okay, there are great benefits for fasting the body, but there are even greater benefits for fasting the mind. And what does it mean to fast the mind? Pardon me? Meditation. Okay. And what else does it mean?
You're not saying no television, are you?
No television. Hey, Rob's got the answer there. Just as we have toxins in the body we are not even aware of, which we carry with us, and we put on these nice perfumes and smell okay, but try not putting on the perfumes and then see what happens. Hey. So, just as we carry toxins in the body, we are carrying toxins in the mind. And these toxins are called negative thought patterns. These toxins are called values that don't really support us. Unsound beliefs, desires which can never be fulfilled, such as drinking salt water. Yeah? Unsound beliefs, desires which lead to turmoil of all kinds, and questionable life choices are things which we need to purge ourselves of. Yeah? We need to let go of all that crap which we are carrying within us. Because this pollution within us does not allow us to see just what we are doing with our life and if we are really heading in the right direction. It creates a fog. We can't really see. We're so busy. This is important, when really this is important. We are not able to distinguish. We're not able to discern fact from fiction. Our lives then revolve around non-essentials, and before we know it, 10 years have passed and we've not really achieved much happiness, although we've tried, and we've tried. Does it make sense, please? Fasting the mind. So, fasting the mind is really about letting go of these toxins we carry within us in the form of unhealthy beliefs, unhealthy desires, unhealthy life choices which don't really support our long-term welfare. So how do we go about fasting this mind of ours? What has to happen? How do we let go of these unsound beliefs? These weird values we cling to. Value for non-essentials primarily. Do you have another word in your vocabulary?
Get to know yourself.
Get to know yourself. Yes, absolutely. When I was a kid, I hated raisins. Oh, yuck, they looked weird. They tasted okay, but just the squeaky, queasy feeling about them I didn't like. And although I loved chocolate cakes and all kinds of cakes I liked, if anyone put raisins or fruits in the cakes, I would not touch it. Till I became a little wiser and I started going on these health trips and started to understand the properties of raisins. When I understood the properties of raisins, something clicked for me and I was able to value them differently than just by their looks. Before I was valuing it by its looks or by its feel. Now I had a value for it in terms of its properties. And my taste changed overnight. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Yeah. So we need to acquire, to fast the mind, we need to acquire a taste for wisdom. Most of us don't have a taste for wisdom. We have a preference for entertainment. We have a preference for pleasure. We have a preference for distractions and busyness. We don't really have this thirst and this deep taste for acquiring wisdom. And in the absence of this deep taste and acquiring of wisdom, acquisition of wisdom, it is impossible for us to fashion a brilliant life. It is impossible. So when we are really dedicated to being wise, when we have this incredible love for wisdom, then and only then do we acquire the art of designing a sensational life, not otherwise. Only with this deep desire, this deep love for wisdom, do we have the tools, do we have the means, do we have the process for designing an exceptional life, not otherwise. In practical terms, what this means is that when we start to read, when we start to attend classes, when we start to mix with people who are inspired about designing something beautiful with their lives and their relationships, then we come to understand the importance of consistently choosing the best within our reach. What does that mean? To really be wise, to really design your life correctly, you have to train yourself. You have to train yourself to consistently choose the best within your reach. And what is the best within your reach? Yvonne?
You mean the best action? Is that what you mean?
The best whatever.
I guess it's what you would like to get reflected back to you.
Okay? The best within your reach, we all have the ability to be kind. We all have the ability to be tender, to be gentle, to listen well. We all have the ability. We all have the ability to be intuitive. It's the best within our reach. But what are we doing about these qualities that are there, these profound qualities that are there that can allow us to live a beautiful life? How much nurturing are we giving to these precious, priceless qualities? Yeah? Just think of the important relationships in your life. Just think of that. And then ask yourself, are you really reaching for the best that is within your power to reach when you are being insensitive, when you are being unkind, when you are being arrogant? Are you reaching for the best within your reach? Are you choosing that? You're not. So most of us have a value for the negative forces more than the value for the positive forces. And because we value these negative forces more, we indulge in them. We don't see the value in being kind, in being gentle, in being receptive to what someone is really feeling and what someone is really saying. We're not receptive enough. Behind every action that you perform, either mundane or otherwise, what is the intention behind it ultimately? What do you want to achieve through every action that you perform with your body, speech, or mind? When you think, it's an action. When you speak, it's an action. What are you ultimately aiming for with your body, speech, and mind? What is it that you're aiming for, ultimately?
To accomplish things, get things done.
To accomplish?
To accomplish things is to get things done.
Is it just to get things done? Cat? How do you say your name? Cat? Cat? Okay. Aaron, what is it that you're aiming for, buddy? In anything you do, ultimately, what is it that, ultimately, what do you want?
I guess just to enhance my experiences. I guess just develop myself.
To develop yourself, to enhance your experiences, something else?
I guess improve everything around me as well. So there's relationships I have with others.
Okay. Don't we all want happiness with almost every breath we take? Don't we all want to be happy in some form or another? To experience joy, laughter, connectedness? Yes? Love, tenderness. Don't we really want this deeply? Of course we do. Everyone wants it. And even though we say we want it, this is our intention behind every action. How many of us are really choosing, consistently choosing the best within our reach by being kind and caring and wise? How many of us are choosing that? And if you don't choose the right seeds, how can you have the harvest you desire? If you don't choose the right seeds, how can you harvest what you really desire? You can't. You can't be planting rice and want wheat as a harvest. It's not possible. You want love, you want tenderness, you want beauty, you want all these things, then you have to plant the right seeds, and the right seeds can only be planted when you are wise enough to discern, oops, this value is not serving me, and this value is. This belief doesn't really serve me, and this belief does. When we have the ability to discern, to choose correctly, then we are on the way to freedom. If we don't have the ability to choose correctly, we're not on the way to freedom. We stay shackled to our fears, our doubts, our anxieties. We're shackled. And it's not that someone else is shackling us, it is our own choice. It is what we have chosen to notice or to give attention to that shackles us, if that thing is not correct. We have the key. We have the shackles. Unlock it. The only way to unlock it is through being wise. Please understand that every habit and every faculty we have, every habit and every faculty we have is strengthened and preserved by its corresponding actions. In other words, it is strengthened and preserved through repetition. The habit of walking makes us better walkers at walking. The habit of playing the piano makes us better pianists. And the habit of being angry and insensitive does what? Does it only strengthen your anger and insensitivity? What else happens?
Makes you miserable.
Absolutely. And what else happens?
Makes other people miserable.
Make others miserable. Wonderful, isn't it? Oh, yummy. What else?
Weakening those other aspects that you may not be nurturing.
Pardon me?
It potentially could weaken the other aspects, the good qualities that you may not be nurturing or dwelling on. So if you're developing negative tendencies or habits, then and you're not pursuing positive ones, then the positive ones will no longer be part of your habitual part of your life.
Brilliant. It is weakening, in a sense, the positive traits that we have, the positive habits. And it is strengthening our powerlessness to create positive change. Are you understanding? I'll say it again. Because these things are subtle, they're not very obvious. When we make a habit of being angry, insensitive, or any negative frequencies that we emanate, the moment we emanate them, we are strengthening that quality, and we are also strengthening our powerlessness to create positive change. So the more we get angry, the more powerless we become. Because there's no power in anger. There's greater, far greater power in gentleness. Immense power in gentleness. And people don't see that. There's immense power in love, in tenderness, in learning to listen well. There's immense power there, but people don't see that. People think there's power in anger and resentment and criticism and so on. People don't see that by gravitating towards such frequencies, we disempower ourselves daily. And then to expect to experience happiness is an impossible dream. It's not possible. Same again, when people build a relationship or they seek to build a healthy and loving relationship with someone in the absence of self-love, what happens then? Oh, I want my soulmate to come and love me. And you find your soulmate, hopefully. Well, then what happens? If you don't really love yourself, what happens?
You sabotage it.
You sabotage it. You sabotage even the best relationship. Even it's right there, you will sabotage it because you don't feel worthy enough. So you sabotage it by getting jealous. You sabotage it by being extra finicky. You sabotage it in many different ways. So when we try to build a relationship on the foundation of fear, of not being worthy enough, we don't consolidate the love in front, we consolidate our powerlessness. So every choice we make, we might have an intention to be happy, but unless we are able to see the deeper rooted intention behind it, we won't meet that other intention. For instance, people say they want to be financially independent. Yeah, everyone wants financial independence. Yeah, big bucks. And what drives people towards this financial independence?
The insecurity, the fear of insecurity that comes from lack of money.
The fear of insecurity which comes from a lack of money. Yes. I know many rich people, and no matter how much they have, they still want more. They still want, it's not enough. Few $1 million, that's not enough, I have to have some more. So when they work hard to be financially independent and happy, but are nurturing that fear of not having enough, they're consolidating their fear. They're not consolidating freedom from fear. So most people don't see how they sabotage themselves by nurturing or not being conscious of these deep-rooted intentions which are not well checked or questioned. So to build a happy life, to build a healthy life, we have to consolidate those habits which really promote our long-term gain. And to nurture those right habits, we have to be careful about the intentions behind those choices that we make. Are your intentions clear? Are they sound? Do they have the right footing for you to experience a beautiful harvest? If they're not on the right footing, no matter how hard you struggle on the outside, if the enemy is within, you're not going to make it. And that enemy is within, and that enemy is called self-neglect. That enemy is called not making the time to really nurture what is finest in us. That's really the enemy. That's really the primary difficulty in everything we do. Not making the time to nurture what is finest in us. And expecting happiness to come to us from the outside. It is not possible. What is possible is that you can learn to bring happiness into your moments. Regardless of what the situation is, you can learn to bring happiness into your moments, because that $1,000 note, even though it's crumpled, still has $1,000 value or more. Yeah? Please know that to manifest our most cherished aspirations, what you really deeply desire, to manifest our most cherished aspirations, we have to respect our partnership with life. You are part of life. You are in partnership with it, whether you know it or not. And if your partnership is unhealthy, it will cause you much pain. To respect our partnership with life, to really respect anything means do what? How can I really respect you? What has to happen for me to respect you? Or you me?
You have to care for it and nurture it.
Care for it, nurture it. The word respect means to look again. Yeah? To respect someone, to respect something means to look again. Really, okay, I'm having this problem here. Look again. What is causing this problem? Is it this person? Is it the situation that's really causing the problem? Or is it me? To respect our partnership with life is to really understand its principles. To understand its principles and to place ourselves in harmony with them. If we don't really understand life's principles, if we constantly plant oranges and want mangoes, God, it's not possible. So frustrating. If we're constantly planting self-neglect and we want happiness out of that, it's not possible. Possible is only when we nurture ourselves. Yeah? So, even though in every moment we have multiple choices in front of us, in every moment we have multiple choices in front of us. Right now, for instance, you can choose to tune into what I'm saying, or you can choose to tune out. I see many of you tuning out. No, just kidding. Okay? We have many choices in front of us. In any given moment, we can either choose to be observant or to be a space case. We can choose to bring some tenderness into our relationships, or we can choose to be indifferent. In any given moment, we have multiple choices. And although we have multiple choices, it is wise of us to only choose those opportunities that lead to a flourishing life, and to let go of those opportunities or those choices that don't promote our welfare, the negativities, the values that don't really add value to our lives. We have multiple choices. Every moment, every day, we can either educate ourselves or we can goof off in front of the TV. Every day, we can either do some good work in society, or we can just complain that the world is so crazy. We have opportunities every day to do much with our lives. Are we really taking them? So, nature, please understand that nature has not predisposed us towards harming ourselves or towards harming other people. We are not predisposed to be like that. We are designed to really love and be loved, to be kind and experience kindness from others. We're designed to really flourish in this world. Life really has our best interest at heart. But no one, not even your fairy godmother, can airlift you out of your misery if you choose not to abide by the right principles. No one can really help you. If you consistently choose to live in neglect of yourself, no one can airlift you out of your misery. Providence cannot lead you to the promised land if you're not in partnership with Providence. Yeah? So we need to respect. We need to respect our relationship with life. Place ourselves in harmony with it. Very, very important. Have you noticed that everything in life stems from microscopic beginnings? Have you noticed that? Before you were born, you were a tiny little thing. Teeny weeny, couldn't even see with the eye. Yeah? Everything in life stems from or comes from microscopic beginnings. nothing in nature is small. The microscope reveals as great a world below us or within us as the telescope reveals the world above. Yeah? Nothing in nature is small. It is vast, magnificent, immensely magnificent. This means that the quality of life we experience or are experiencing is determined not by the large choices we have made. The quality of life we are experiencing has been chiseled, like a sculptor chisels, by the small choices we have made daily over a period of time. Those small, small choices which we think are insignificant, these are the choices that are really shaping our destiny. The way we choose to think daily, the way we choose to speak daily, the way we choose to act. Do you sit in a sloppy way in the sofa? Do you sit erect? Do you dress well? Do you don't dress well? How sensitive you are, how insensitive you are. It's the small choices which add up to shape the quality of our lives. And we seem to think that these are just small, insignificant choices. But in nature, there is nothing small. These choices have an impact, a far-reaching impact in our lives. And the sooner we start to take notice of this, the sooner we start to value those small choices and build a right foundation for ourselves, the sooner we are happy. But if we continue to live in neglect of these small choices which are there, shaping us, forming us, the choice of what we choose to eat, choice of how we choose to speak, whatever it is, these small choices are forming our character. And our character, as we all know, well, hopefully, our character is our destiny. The destiny that a person has when that person is not honest is very different from the destiny of someone who has integrity as their foundation. The destiny of someone who is insensitive to other people's needs is very different from someone who is tender and caring of others. Our character is our destiny. And our character is being formed by those small choices we are making from moment to moment. Important to take stock of the small choices which are not really small, because everything in life stems from microscopic beginnings. In our journey through life, we have no choice. If we want to be happy, we have no choice but to accept life's principles. You go against those principles, you don't choose those principles, you will be miserable. There's no two ways about it. For instance, we all know that in the process of living, we will face challenges. All kinds of challenges. Physical challenges, emotional challenges, psychological challenges, social challenges. In the process of life, we have no choice but to accept its principles. Okay? There are certain principles, there are certain things that happen in life which we have to abide by. Challenges are part of living. We don't accept that fact, we suffer. But when we accept the fact, when we learn to see challenges in the right light, we grow from it. We all know the value of education. To be successful in this world, we all go to school and college to make a living. But how many people go to school and college to make a life? A big difference. We all see the value of education. We all go to school and college to make a living. But just making a living is not the key to happiness. Learning how to make a life is. How many people go to school and college to learn how to make a life? How to craft a brilliant life? Not being taught. So, although we do not have a choice when it comes to abiding by life's principles, we do have another choice there. We do have one choice which is brilliant, profound, and that choice is how we will apply ourselves within these principles. We do have a choice there. We can't choose the fact that we're going to die or not die. Yeah? Old age is inevitable. Sickness is inevitable. Challenges are inevitable. But how we play the game, how we flow within those principles determines the quality of our lives. Do you accept old age gracefully, or do you struggle against it? Do you accept sickness when it comes, or do you struggle against it? Do you accept challenges when they come and work with them and grow from them, or do you struggle against it, resist it? So in life, we have to learn to respect its principles and place ourselves in harmony with them. The greater the harmony, the greater our joy. The less the harmony, the greater the disresonance, which means suffering. Most people go through life hoping for ideal circumstances before they can be happy. Do you do that? Most people go through life waiting for ideal circumstances before they can be happy. When they have that nice job, when they have a nice relationship, enough money in the bank, oh, then my life will be made. Let me remind you that ideal circumstances exist in time, which means in the realm of change, things change. So are you going to allow your life to be like a yo-yo? When things are nice, you're happy. When things are not nice, you're miserable. When the day is bright, you're happy. When it's raining, you're miserable. Is that the way to go through life? Not really. So what is the secret of living well?
Making the most of every life.
Absolutely. Learning to take common occasions and make them great. Learning to take common occasions and make them ideal. Learning to bring happiness into our moments instead of waiting for happiness to come to us. That's how we have this inner serenity to go through life with power and grace. Not worried if someone is being nasty towards us, or if someone is mistreating us, whatever it is. Hey, that's your problem, brother. I love you anyway. Listening and observing and learning and applying what we learn. Listening and observing, learning and applying what we learn have always been the way of the wise. They listen, they observe, they learn, and they apply what they learn. And that's how they become wise. They don't just think about wisdom, they act wise. Yeah? We too can follow their model. We too can learn how to live an inspirational life. And all that is required really is nothing phenomenal as such. All that is required to live an inspirational life is to generate those small actions with the greatest amount of love. That's all it takes. Just those small actions with the greatest amount of love, because that has the power to change the world. It has the power to transform your life and the lives of everyone who come into contact with you. So when life is calling you towards greatness, it is just calling you towards loving more greatly, being more gentle, more affectionate, more kind, more receptive, more wise. Small actions, nothing is small. Small actions performed with the greatest amount of love and compassion have the power to change the world. And that's what we are all capable of. We can all consistently choose the best within our reach. And it is within our reach. And that's how a $1,000 note can make a $1 billion impact in the world. Depends on how you invest yourself. Your time, your energy, your wisdom. Okay, that's all I have to share with you today. Now, what I'd like in return, there's always something there. is I'd like you to sit quietly for 5 minutes. Okay? Centered in yourself, sit quietly and just reflect on what you will take away with you from this talk. And if you would like to share, I'd like to hear what you will take away with you from this talk. Because it's not only what I share with you that has value, you might say something which will spark something beautiful in somebody else. So if you can share, I'd appreciate that. So for 5 minutes, you can read your notes if you like, you can reflect if you like. And is it alright if Sherry takes a little photo of everyone? Anyone? No one's on the wanted poster list? Okay. Sitting straight, shoulders loose, head balanced. You can read your notes if you like. Breathing well from the abdomen.